Hey, my name's Rajesh. I'm a multi-family lender based in Los Angeles, and today we'll be discussing construction loans for primary residences. First we have to understand LTV versus LTC. LTV is loan to value. When it comes to purchases, value is purchase price. LTC stands for loan to cost. When it comes to purchases, cost equals purchase price plus construction costs. Okay, so that's the difference between primary residence and buying a pre-built home and building your own home. Now, when it comes to these loans, the terms are pretty similar actually and pretty advantageous because when I talk about purchase price here, I'm talking about the purchase price of the land and the cost, excuse me, the cost to build, which includes soft costs like permits and architectural designs. Uh, so that's purchase price of the land and total construction costs from start to finish. Um, LTV on an FHA loan for a pre-built home is 96.5%. So that means 3.5% down FHA. On a conventional loan, if you're a first-time home buyer, you can go up to 97%, which is equal to 3% down. On a conventional loan, if you're not a first-time home buyer, it is 95% or 5% down. So now is a good time to discuss what makes a first-time home buyer. A first-time home buyer is someone who has not owned a home, whether it's an investment property or a primary residence, in the past 3 years. So if you bought a home and sold it 4 years ago, you are now a first-time home buyer as long as you've not owned a home since. If you have owned a home in the last 3 years, you are not considered a first-time home buyer. And these are for loans or properties where the loan amounts are less than the max county limit. Less than the max county limit. And so today we'll be seeing what the max county limits are. So FHA 2025 handbook, max county limit. Alright, for some reason that doesn't load. Let's see what this is. Accept all. Alright, so for a single family in a low-cost living area, your max loan amount is $525,000 roughly. And in a high-cost area, your max loan amount is 1.209. That's for 2025. We're almost in 2026. Today is December 15th as I speak. So let's see what it says for 2026. Because even if you were to apply for a loan today, it's most likely going to close in 2026. So it's good to know what those numbers are. So for for FHA loans in low cost living areas, if you're doing a single family, it is 541,000, up from 525. And in the high cost area, it's 1.25 million, up from 1.209. So you're getting roughly $25,000 more here in the low cost area, and about $50,000 more in the or rather $40,000 more in the high cost area. So that's the deal. So that means if you are doing a home that costs, and this is about max leverage, so let's say 1.249, and you're in Los Angeles as I am, you would divide that by 0.97, and this would give you your maximum purchase price, which is 1.287628. That's your maximum purchase price on a home in a high cost living area with an FHA, with a conventional loan as a first time home buyer. Now, it'll be a little bit less if you're as not a first time home buyer, or you're getting an FHA loan. Now, with a construction loan, it's exactly the same. 96.5% LTV, or 3.5% down. Conventional first time home buyer is 97%, 3% down. And conventional 95%, equal to 5% down. And I'm talking about single families today, not multi-families. That's because these limits change when you're building a multi-family, building up to 4 units. So the same rules apply here. This is your max loan to cost. That means if you were to buy $100,000, let's say $150,000 piece of land, your max construction cost could not exceed 1,287,628 minus 150,000. So you could not spend more than $1.13 million constructing your home to qualify for these down payments. Now, if you're buying, let's say, a $500,000 piece of land, and you want to spend, I don't know, $2 million construction, your total cost is $2.5 million. Total cost. And by the way, this includes a 10% contingency. Meaning, let's see here. So if we were to reverse engineer this, it would be 2 million divided by 1 minus 10%. No, that's wrong. How do I reverse engineer that? The easy way, but the wrong way would be to assume that you have about $200,000 in contingencies, and your actual construction cost is 1.8 million. In reality, it would be closer to, let's see here, because 185 be probably closer to 1.85 times 1.1. No, so that's a little bit too high. 182 times 1.1. So that's pretty close right here. 181. Let's see if that adds up times 1.1. Yeah, so 1.2 is, or 1.82 million is your actual construction plus 10% contingency, which is equal to 2 million roughly. So your total cost is 2.5 million right there. So on a loan like that, you're actually looking at a max LTV, and this would be considered a jumbo loan, max LTV, and the FHA loan would be out of the question just because that's supposed to be not a hardship program, but it's not exactly a jumbo program either. It's not a program for people with a lot of means. Now, if you do have a home that costs $1 million or $1.5 million and you're putting 25-30% down, you can absolutely still go with an FHA loan. Many people choose not to, just to avoid the mortgage insurance premium. But if you are putting like 3% down, even on a 1.5 million or $1.2 million loan or home, some people will still choose to put will choose to get the FHA loan just because the total mortgage insurance payments on the conventional loan versus the FHA loan, it ends up being, the monthly payments end up being a lot less on the FHA loan. So even if you're going to up to like a $1.25 million home, it still might make sense for you to go with the FHA loan, especially if you're only doing the minimal down payment. Max LTV on a jumbo construction is 70, or well, I'd say 75%, 75 to 80%. And it really has to do with levels or tiers. So let's say over here your total cost is 2.5 million, but if your total cost is 3.5 million, this actually goes out the window. Your max LTC ends up being closer to 70%. But there are ways to do this. So let's say we do this as a purchase. We do a one-time construction close. So 3.5 million times 0.3. That means your down payment is 1.05 million. 0.05 million or 1,050,000. That's your down payment, right? And that's on a $500,000 piece of land. Let's say you want to instead just buy, and in this situation, we're going to assume that the land is 1 million. Okay, so your cost to build is 2.5. Cost to build equals land. Cost to build is equal to 2.5 million, and this is equal to total cost. Okay, so new scenario here. So here you're paying $1,050,000 just to buy $1 million piece of land in order to get a $2.5 million loan in order to do the 3.5 million. Another way to do this actually is just buy the land cash for 1 million. Now your goal is to get a buy land in cash. So now you just saved 50K, right? Because over here you had to pay 1.05 million to get that piece of land. But if you buy it in cash, you just saved 50K. And now what we do is, let's say after you finish building the home, the ARV, or after repair value, or future value, same thing. After you finish building it, you've spent $3.5 million. This thing costs you $3.5 million to build. After you build it, it is worth $4 million, because a finished home is always going to be worth more than the actual cost to build it. That's how profit works, right? You do the work building a home and then you sell it for more. But this is with primary residences, the same logic applies. The only difference is that with these loans, you're required to live in the home for at least 1 year. Um, what is that? So the way to do that is, if you've already spent 1 million buying the land in cash, you now have 1 million in equity, right? So this is now your down payment. So let's see what 70% of the ARV, because when doing a home and you already own the land, we look at ARV and we multiply that by 70%. So let's see what that looks like here. So 4 million times 0.3, because we want to find out what your down payment or equity has to be in order to get this loan, is 1.2 million. So now you have to come in with 200,000. Okay? So now you have to come in with 200,000 in order to get this 2.5 million in order to get the loan to do the construction. But let's say ARV was equal to 4.5 million. So let's see here, 4.5 times 0.3, or let's say 3.5 million. Let's say worst case scenario, the market tanks and it comes in at 3.5 million. It cost you 3.5 million to build a home worth 3.5 million, but the benefit is that it's exactly how you want it. So 3.5 million times 0.3 is equal to still 1.50,000. So you're going to have to come in with 50,000. I don't know what I was doing, but yesterday I came up with some different numbers, but it just didn't record any sound. So you're going to have to come in with that 50,000 regardless. And the only limitation on this loan is that when you finish building the home, it has to be at minimum, ARV has to be greater than or equal to total cost. So if you spend $3.5 million, including buying the land, the permits, etc., it has to be worth at least $3.5 million when you finish. And there's a whole appraisal process where we look at new builds, comps. We look at comps, comparables in the area, where it would be roughly the way we would do it is we would look at new builds in the area within 1 mile that sold within the past 30 days and not listed, that are still currently for sale but have already sold, and preferably sold to a bank, to a government-backed loan such as an FHA loan or a jumbo loan or a conventional loan. So we would look at your scope of work, which breaks down how you plan to build. We would look at the designs, and we would look for homes of similar builds, and preferably new constructions, but then if they're not, then the most recent builds. And if we saw that, like, the home that you're planning to build has already sold within the past 30 days for 4 million, we're pretty confident that we would that this home, when finished being built, would be worth at least $4 million. So that's the goal. Now, ignoring the fact that right, so this is the way I was doing it that was wrong. So rather than looking at so let's say the ARV is 4 million, right? So 4 million times 0.7 is equal to 2.8 million. But your cost to build is 2.5 million. So now you do not need to come in with extra cash. So you spent 3.5 million. Your cost of the project is 3.5 million. 1 million for the land, 2.5 million for the construction costs. You already bought the land in cash for 1 million, saving yourself $50,000 as a down payment. And now you know that when you finish building it, it's going to be worth 4 million. 70% of that is 2.8 million. But your cost to build is 2.5 million, which is less than 2.8 million. So that this formula here finds you max loan amount. And as long as your cost to build is less than max loan, you do not need extra cash to come in when CTB, cost to build, is less than max LTC. Does that make sense? So yeah, that's the advantage of buying the land separately. The other advantage of buying the land separately is, let's say instead of buying a pre-built lot that's right by the roadside and you've got utilities and you've already got permits and designs to build, or the permits are ready to issue rather, because you're building a pre-existing design that has already been approved by the city. Let's throw that situation out. Let's just say you bought a piece of raw land. Now it's going to take more than 6 months to a year to just get permits. Forget building the house. Just get permits. And get ready to build. Get ready to be shovel ready. It's going to take you anywhere from 6 to 18 months if you're lucky. All these loans right here, these ones right here, require that you start construction within 60 days and finish within 12 months. So if you're buying a raw piece of land that that does not have anything, and it's not ready to issue and it's not shovel ready, you're better off just buying the land in cash or getting a vacant land loan. And on a vacant land loan, I can go up to 65% LTV loan to value on just the purchase, and rate and term refi. So let's say you have a hard money loan that you use to buy the land, and you want to lower your interest rate. This is what I can do. Now let's say you own a piece of land, it's gone up in value, and you want to pull cash out. So then I can do 60% cash out refi on that piece of land. And so we're getting that cash out. Now you've only got 40% trapped in the land. You've got 60% out of it. So you can buy a vacant piece of land. And why would anybody want to do this? Because they're planning on building in the future, in the far future, in more than a year from now rather than less than a year from now, and they do not have the cash to just buy the land themselves. On an investment piece of property, we can, and even if you're buying the land cash, well, especially, let's say you want to buy a vacant piece of land cash. You don't need cash from your own account. I can get you a personal line of credit or a business line of credit up to 350K. And if your land costs less than that, you're essentially buying the land for cash, and then you can do a rate and term refi on it later if this interest rate is too high for you. But if you do this, if you buy it with a business line of credit, then you are what you want to do is collateralize it so that you can then qualify for this construction loan using the land as the equity that you have in the land towards the ARV here, so that we can reduce your get rid of this down payment right here, reduce your down payment. And you're thinking, all that work just to get rid of $50,000? The clients I work with argue about $1. They argue about $100. They argue about $1,000. And they're not people doing small loans. They're doing huge loans. They're buying multifamily properties for anywhere from 2 to 15 million, and they still are very, very sensitive when it comes to costs like this. So every dollar matters, and that's a lesson that I've learned. So these are just some of the strategies they've taught me, and I'm passing on to you in order to lower your own costs. Anyway, talk soon. Thank you.